So I'm thinking that this video might end up getting more views than I normally do just because of the title and everything. So I wanted to go ahead and say, hi, I'm Ashley. Nice to meet you. But anyway, so this is something that the few people that do watch my video have asked me to make a video about for a while. Sorry, my cat's in the background. They've and it's something that I haven't done yet just because it's really hard for me to remember like all the specific details because I did block a lot of it out. So I'm going to be making a video today on talking about my psychotic episode that basically it was the first and, as far as I know, the only psychotic episode I've ever had, and that was what ended up making me and other people realize that I have bipolar disorder. So I don't normally do this, but I did write down a lot of like points and stuff about what happened. It's like 8 pages long, just because I don't normally do that kind of thing, but like I said, it is really jumbled up in my head, and it is hard for me to just like talk about it like all on a correct timeline. So I think this is probably as close as I'm going to get to like the actual like timeline of how this happened. I will say I think this happened over the course of probably like 2 or 3 weeks, where I was psychotic. So yeah, let's get into it. I guess I'm really like nervous about this because this is something I've never talked about before. So I think basically where it started was there was just this one day when I was at work and I was just like completely miserable, and there was this other girl who was just like so happy all the time and just like really nice to everybody, and I was like resenting her, and I was like, well, I can't be like that, why is she like that or whatever. And I basically was like, well, yeah, I can. Like, why can't I be all positive and happy and everything? So I kind of like made a decision that day to just start being a more positive person and just like try to bring joy to everything and just live a better life, I guess, which there's nothing wrong with that. But this is where it started for me, and I will go ahead and say that until this point, I've been having trouble with being a more positive person because of this, because I thought that this is what happened and like why this happened. But you'll start to see very soon that things started going like really just way out. So basically I started, being more positive and having a more positive outlook on everything, and good things started to happen. Like like it seemed like everything that could possibly go right was going right, and it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like being positive was just making my life just like so much better. And that does happen, and that is true. But this is where it kind of started to go into like a delusional state for it. I started to think that I had like a superpower, and that like being positive was a superpower, and it was just something that I could do to like just make good things happen. And God, it's even harder for me to recall this when I'm talking on camera, but basically it just, I don't know, like it was just like everything was going right, and it just wouldn't, like nothing bad was happening. And I guess looking back at that, I was probably getting like manic at this point. During all of this, I had no idea I had bipolar disorder. I had no idea like any of this. But anyway, so yeah, I thought it was a superpower, the power of positive thinking and whatnot. And I like wanted to share it with other people, and I was like, maybe I can make the world a better place, and that kind of thing. And so I just started like being a more positive person and just like spreading all this like positive energy and like everybody that I would talk to, whether I knew them or they were a stranger, like I was just super nice and super happy to them all the time. And like even if people would be like mean or bitter, like I would just like be a happy person and just, you know, write it off as like they're having a bad day or whatever and just like try to make it better. And it seemed like, sorry, I am reading, but it seemed like this superpower was like working, but like nobody else had it. And I was like, well, am I the only person who knows about this? Like, am I the only person with this superpower of like positive thinking? And it was just, I don't know, like, and okay, well, I've already said that, so I'm already skipping around a little, so this should be fun. But yeah, I just like started like obsessing over everything, and at this point, I was actually like losing sleep because of it, because I was just thinking about it so much, and I was like, how can I help other people with this? And just, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking. At this point, my mind was starting to get very like distorted, but I didn't realize that it was happening. So, but looking back, I can see like where things were starting. I mean, I was thinking I had a superpower and all of that. So, um, I tried, oh yeah, I don't really want to like go into details about this in this video and maybe not in future videos because it's about a very controversial subject, but I wanted to make a movement about something that was very important to me at the time, and it was just, well, I can't really say anything without giving details, so, but yeah, I was just trying to get a bunch of people together and just have support for this thing that there was, and it was actually working, and people were like getting together and talking about it, and just so that whole thing was a result of my manic episode. So if anybody, like, because I'm going to post this on Facebook, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry that it didn't work out the way that it was supposed to. But anyway, and then the next thing that I can remember, like I said, like it is very jumbled up, but at some point, and I was still working during all this, so I remember like I had this like weird thought when I was at work about like our pets being our spirit animals, and I posted a status on Facebook about it, and I can't remember exactly what I said, and this girl that I knew commented on it, and we actually started like messaging each other because like I don't really know, I'm going to my next page now, but like I really don't know what if she was just messing with me or if she had like issues of her own or what, but these conversations that I was having with this girl were making my like delusions like go even further, just spiraling out of control. So I got to a point where I was like talking to her a lot, and we started talking about reincarnation. I'm sure I probably brought it up, and I was like asking her if she thought that I was an old soul, because I felt like my soul was really old, and she said that like I was, but not as old as like some other, and I don't really remember the conversation. I actually, like in my state of paranoia later on, I deleted like the entire conversation, so I can't even go back and look at that to see what all was said, but at that point I was like, okay, well there's something going on with me, and I want to find out the truth about all of it. And I didn't know how I was going to do that, so I started like talking to my dad more about this kind of stuff and not being like completely open and upfront about it, but just, you know, trying to see if he knew anything, but without me just like being like, hey, I think I'm this, or, you know, just whatever. And like I said, it is really hard for me to remember all this, so that is why I wrote it down. And it, yeah, but yeah, so I thought he like knew something and he just wasn't telling me, and I is this where, yeah, I started thinking that there were like double meanings to things that people were saying. Like, you'd say like one thing, but in my mind, I would like interpret it as something else, I guess. And I thought that people were doing this intentionally and that they were like trying to tell me something without actually like going out and saying it. And I also thought that there was like a double meaning in numbers. Like, I thought every number stood for like some specific like philosophy, or I can't remember exactly, but it was like, it was like the number one meant like yourself, and I don't know, it's really hard to explain when you're not in that mindset, but it was just, you know, like number one was like yourself and taking care of yourself and all of that. So if it would be like 12:01 in the day, like that's the minute that you have to take care of yourself, and then like 12:02 is something else, and like so on. And that's really hard for me to explain. Like, I actually tried to explain it to other people before, and they were like, what? So, and I was like, I don't even know at this point. So, and I think because of my conversation with the person that I was talking about earlier, I also started to have like double meanings about animals. And like every animal would like stand for something else. Like, for example, I'll give you an example later because I do want to stick with the timeline here, but yeah, like every animal had like a specific like meaning to it or whatever, but basically, like I said, I was still working, and like this positive energy that I had all the time was making my work days go by like super quick. And I actually had the time turner from Harry Potter. I had a necklace of that. I still have it somewhere. I should have worn it for the video so I could show you guys, but hi Jack, my dog's here. But anyway, so I would be like messing with that because you could actually spin it and stuff. And I thought that I was speeding up time with that, like with a combination of that and just like me being like super happy and positive to everybody. And then I haven't really talked about him very much. Actually, I haven't talked about him at all in this video, but I had just started dating my boyfriend, who I still am with currently. We live together now and everything, and he doesn't know about this stuff, so it should be an interesting thing whenever he hears about all this. But I thought that he also had superpowers and of speed, and I thought that he was the Flash. So you might notice in this a lot of things that I thought were highly influenced by like movies and TV shows and all of that. So, but and I thought that we had like some sort of mission that we had to do, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I just thought like I don't know, I think we were just supposed to like do something together to like make the world a better place. Like all of this, even though it's like super crazy, it was like out of a good place. So like it was always me like trying to like better things and just I don't know. But oh yeah. So I wanted to like wake him up so that he could help me remember. And I don't remember, like, I remember I would talk to him a little bit about, you know, some of it, but not be, like, straight up, like, forward about it. I remember we talked a little bit about, like, reincarnation and stuff. And keep in mind, like, at this time, I thought that things that people were saying, like, had double meanings and stuff. So I was reading in a lot to what he would say in response. And he's told me now that he was also kind of like playing along every now and then just to try to figure out what was going on with me. So a lot of that, like, I don't know, it just kind of like started spiraling, and we're on to the next page now. So and like people like my parents, especially my dad, were like showing concern for me a lot, and they didn't really understand like what was going on, and what I was thinking was they were testing me, and I thought they really did know what was going on, and like not what was really going on, but what I thought was going on. And like they were just trying to test me to see if I could figure out the truth on my own, basically, or whatever. And here, all right, I'm getting more into depth about my thinking that animals had like different meanings and stuff. And basically, I thought that like certain people were like different kinds of animals, and a lot of this actually goes back to the conversation that I had with that person. So, like I said, I don't know if she was just messing with me or whatever. So, but anyway, when I was talking to my dad, it was hard for me to figure out. I couldn't tell if he was a snake or an owl. So basically, trying to describe this, I thought that snakes were kind of like deceptive, kind of like, I guess I got that from the Bible, I'm not really sure. But the other thing is like my dad is really into snakes, and we grew up, or I grew up, you know, liking snakes and realizing that snakes aren't bad and stuff. And I do remember like talking to him during all this, and you know, he was like, you know, snakes just kind of do their own thing, and they don't really bother people unless you bother them and stuff. So I was kind of like, is he a snake? And then I was like, or is he an owl? Which owls were like, this is just so weird to talk about because it sounds so crazy, but anyway, they were like supposed to be like really wise and just like all knowing kind of. So that was like what I was trying to figure out was, did my dad, like, either way I thought my dad knew what was going on, but I didn't know if he was trying to like steer me off the path, or if he was trying to like let me know in a way, like without actually saying it. I don't know if that makes much sense, but anyway, I think I've been filming this for, it seems like a little while, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, and I will start recording again, so, and I'll probably put part 1 and part 2 out like at the same time, but I just don't want to make like a super long video. And it looks like I've been recording for about 17 minutes, so, and I wanted to keep these like under 20 minutes. So, if you want to see the next video, I'm sure I'll like link it to this, but anyway, so for now, yeah, if you like this video, you know, blah blah, like all that stuff, but I'll see you guys in a minute.